Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live broadcast. You're with Tesla Tom. Thanks so much for joining us. And thank you for everyone who's been waiting patiently all evening to get on. So thank you very much for joining us. And if you're watching it on replay, don't forget to leave a comment if you're watching this. If you're watching this live, and please join in the fun and leave a comment as we go. And obviously, we will answer any questions you might have. This session is really just to learn once again about electric vehicles currently in Australia. And to do that, we will be going through the Electric Vehicle Council document that was released recently by the Electric Vehicle Council. And it basically tells us the state of charge or state of electric vehicles. I'm so used to saying state of charge, aren't I? State of electric vehicles in Australia as of August 2021. It's quite an informative read, and I will leave a link to that video, to that document in the video description. So please check that out after this live broadcast. Otherwise, you can read along as well. Just click on the PDF link in in the description. I can see a few of you guys already on, so thank you so much for joining us. We've got 29 watching, so thank you, everyone. As I said before, make sure you leave a comment in the live chat if you're on. Tell me where you're watching from as well, and obviously, if you're watching it on replay, then leave a comment below as well. So nice to see you all on. Just a quick disclaimer: my computer battery is really low for some reason. It's been 100% all day, and then just the last few hours, it's just dropped very low. So hopefully the power adapter will just keep us going for now. But otherwise, I do apologize if we do cut out midway through the stream. I'll try to show you as much of this document as I can. And then we'll see how we go. If worst comes to worst, we'll do a second stream on another night, either this week or next week. But anyway, let's get into it. Let me share this screen for you guys so you can see the document I'm referring to. There we go. There we go. And there's the state of electric vehicles from the EVC. Just a quick run through the comments first before we do that. Got some folks from Sydney, of course. Here we go. Someone is from, New South Wales. Very good. More from Sydney. Country Victoria, near Phillip Island. Hello there. And of course, Sid EV, my good friend from Phantom Lane 4. Thanks for joining us, Sydney EV, aka Rob. From Sydney the Shire, hi from Perth, from Bentley East. Very good. More from Victoria, hello. More from Newtown, Newtown and Sydney, hello. And we've got someone from Melbourne, and of course, Gaffer from Wollongong. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. All right, well, let's get into it. I'll try to get into this document as much as I can tonight before my battery conks out for my computer. All right, State of Electric Vehicles, August 2021. Let's scroll through this, got some contents there. I want to read the forward from Behat Jafari, who's the CEO of the EV Council. He's done some great work with his team over the last few years, advocating for EVs in Australia. All right, so, let's read this. So Behat says, the last 12 months have demonstrated that electric vehicles are here to stay in Australia and indeed around the world. Electric vehicle sales have grown despite the global pandemic. And with the world now in an economic recovery phase, we expect to see this growth continue. This period also saw the introduction of Australia's best electric vehicle policy to date, with the New South Wales state government introducing an EV strategy backed by almost $500 million of investment to accelerate the uptake of zero-emissions vehicles. The New South Wales government incentive program is significant and comparable with leading jurisdictions overseas, and we are optimistic about the effect it will have on electric vehicle availability and sales. These positive measures and those taken by other state and territory governments, let's scroll too fast there. Governments provide confidence to private sector investors, allowing for the introduction of greater choice for Australian consumers, more places to charge, and better services that support e-mobility. However, Australia still has serious challenges when it comes to electric vehicles market share, policies, and consumer choices. At a federal level, we are continuing to see a lack of leadership and action on electric vehicles. After promising a national strategy 2 years ago, the federal government has failed to deliver. We have also seen how state governments can put in place policies that actively worsen the playing field for electric vehicles. We'll get to that very shortly. We need to see more electric vehicle models in Australia, particularly at lower price points. To get more models, we need the right policy settings so we can compete with other countries to attract the globally limited electric vehicle supply to Australia. Australia is in urgent need of action on electric vehicles, which is vital to meeting our net zero goals, increasing our energy security, and improving our air quality. We have continued our annual assessment of the electric vehicle market, investment, and government policies, and pleasingly, we are seeing progress on each front. Finally, you may have noted this year's State of Electric Vehicles report is smaller than in previous years, given the pace of change in the industry. We will now instead be providing 6 monthly State of Electric Vehicle reports, as well as smaller topic-based reports throughout the year. Behad Jafari, CEO of the EV Council of Australia. Fantastic forward there from Behad. Fantastic work. Hope you guys are following along with your documents. If not, hopefully you can see that on the screen there. I've got some more people joining us. Hi, guys. I've got Mark from Muswellbrook. Hey, Mark. Nice to see you again. And we've got Jeff from Macedon Rangers. Hello. Hello from Lockdown. Well, join the party. And from Burraneer, Larry, and Rob from Adelaide. Very good. And yep, it's Benny wanting the Model Y. Yep, absolutely. So am I. Got Larry Kavanagh saying, also waiting for the Model Y. What's the latest news on availability? I don't know. I wish I could tell you, but I don't. I'm hoping it's soon. Anyway, there was a tweet today about the Gigafactory Shanghai producing cars for countries around the world. I think Omar from Whole Mars blog said Australia was one of them. So that's good to see. I think Elon Musk tweeted back, "Go China." So I don't know if that's confirmation or not. Anyway, someone buying an e-tron. Oliver buying an e-tron in 2 weeks. That's good. Phantom Lane Love 4. Phantom Lane 4. Got excited there seeing Phantom Lane 4. Where's the Phantom Lane 4 love? Well, make sure you tune into Phantom Lane 4 on Wednesdays whenever we broadcast live with the gang. So I think that might be Sally. Hey, Sally. Thanks for joining us. Keith from Hurstville. And yep, hello everyone for joining us. That's great. 46 viewers on. That's fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Quick question here before I keep going. We've got Saga saying, "What's the latest news on New South Wales government rebate?" I think from what I've seen, a text from one of my viewers who's bought a Tesla Model 3. Tesla has said that they are going to backdate any incentives back to September 1. We're hoping the New South Wales Parliament, when they sit on September 7, they'll pass it. So we shall see. We'll keep you informed, that's for sure. Okay, let's move on. So let's have a look at some highlights from 2021. Now, this is pretty cool. So in 2021, there were 8,688 electric vehicles sold in the first half of 2021 as it is. And I think we'll get to a bit later on where we will see that this was basically more than the cars sold in 2020. So that's pretty cool. There are 31 electric vehicle models for sale in Australia currently. Australia has over 3,000 public chargers. 470 of these are DC fast chargers. In 2020, 0.78% of all electric vehicles sold in Australia were electric, and compared with 10.7% in the UK and 74% in Norway. Yeah, just think about that for a second. 14 electric vehicles models are priced under $65,000 in Australia currently, and we'll go through those models very shortly. Well, not very shortly, but later on in this broadcast. There will be 58 electric vehicle models in the Australian market by the end of 2022. That's pretty exciting, and this document later on outlines some of those models that are coming on for sale. 1 second. Okay, so the EVC, the EV Council, has given us a scorecard for each of the jurisdictions in Australia. The New South Wales government has a scorecard of 9. Go New South Wales, and I think that's largely due to the to-be-passed EV policy, which we'll get to very shortly. The ACT government has a score of 8. Northern Territory 7, Tasmania 7, Queensland 6, South Australia 6, Victoria government 6, and WA 6, and the federal government comes in at a 3. Not even a pass mark there. Feds, what's going on? Anyway, let's go through that later on. Okay, so Sensei writes, in the last 20 minutes of this session, can people join in with you on screen if they have their webcam and mic set up by clicking on the StreamYard web link that you post in the live chat box? Well, we shall see. We shall see how long we go through with the stream. Okay, Sensei? So hang in there, guys. We shall see. If not today, maybe some other time. All right, let's go through electric vehicle sales. Australian electric vehicle sales are displaying resilience and growth despite a marked decrease in overall vehicle sales. In 2020, 6,900 electric vehicles were sold in Australia, representing 0.78% of all new light electric vehicle sales, up from 6,718 electric vehicles sold, 0.65% in 2019. So at least it's growing, albeit very slowly. The majority of these sales, 76%, were battery electric vehicles, BEVs, with plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, PHEVs, representing just under 1/4 of sales. Meanwhile, overall light vehicle sales fell to 920,414 vehicles in 2020, down from 1 million plus vehicles sold in 2019. I must say I'm glad they're not counting hybrid electric vehicles like the Prius and Camry hybrid in this lot, because it's controversial, but I personally don't think that should be counted as part of the EV count. As you can see, year to year, the sales have gone up from 2011 up till date 2021. So the graph is heading in the right direction. However, just have a look at the y-axis here. Those are very small numbers, unfortunately. So 2020, less than 0.8%, and year to date 2021 is over 1% finally in Australia. So that's really good to see. So far in 2021, 8,688 electric vehicles have been sold in Australia, representing 1.57% of the total light vehicle market. Woohoo, higher than 1.5%. Despite growth of electric vehicle sales, Australia still sits significantly behind the rest of the world when it comes to EV adoption. In Norway, the world's leading EV adopter, 3/4 of all light vehicles sold in 2020 were electric. One second, let me just get rid of that text. There we go. Australia is also well behind the UK, 10.7%. That's actually pretty high for the UK. I didn't think it was that high, but that's good. China, 6.2%, and the US, 2.3%. I'm sure that number is going to go up soon. Globally, EVs represent 4.2% of light vehicle sales, up from 2.5% in 2019. That's good. It's going up as well worldwide. This demonstrates the strength and direction of the automotive market towards electrification. Okay. And yes, Ryan Macklin says that that's because they shouldn't be counted. Yes, I must agree. I think he's referring to hybrid electric vehicles. Good. Okay, on the same page there. Okay, so there we go. Global EV market share in 2020. This is where Australia sits at the moment, and we are lower than the global average, which is disappointing to see, unfortunately, at 2.3%, whereas the global average is 4.2%. Norway, of course, leads the pack, 74.8%, and its Scandinavian neighbours in Iceland and Sweden are pretty high as well. And some of Europe, Germany, France, UK, and Europe is 10.2%. California is 8.3%. They're leading the way in the US, of course. Hang on, I was looking at, sorry, that was the USA, 2.3%. Sorry, Australia's even worse, 0.78%. My apologies. Okay. So yes, so we are way behind the 8 ball, so to speak. All right. So even recent annual growth in EV sales in Australia, only 0.12% of Australia's light EV fleet is electric, while New South Wales and Victoria are home to the majority of Australia's EVs. ACT leads the nation on a per vehicle basis with 0.31% electric vehicle fleet penetration, followed by South Australia at 0.16%. So they're still pretty low numbers. So what that's saying is basically, even though New South Wales and Victoria have the bulk of the cars in Australia, it's the ACT that's got the largest percentage of the fleet as EVs, even though that's still pretty low at 0.31%, unfortunately. With additional models, some at lower price points expected in the coming years, EV sales and market share will continue to increase. So hopefully that will be the case. All right, so EV model availability, car makers' commitment to electrification. Most car makers around the world have now made firm public commitments to electrification, including publicly pledging billions of dollars investment towards electric vehicles over the next few years alone. Several car makers have now set timelines to become 100% electric. Jaguar Land Rover 2025, Volvo 2030, Mazda 2030, Ford in Europe 2030, Nissan early 2030s, GM 2035, Daimler 2039, and Honda 2040. Other car makers have committed to electric vehicle model targets. By 2025, Audi will have 30 electric vehicle models available. Very ambitious. That's good, I guess. Hyundai will have 23 models. By the way, I think the actual pronunciation is Hyundai. The Koreans, that's how they say it. Group Renault will have 24 models, and GM will have 30 models. The Volkswagen Group will have 70 new EV models available by 2028. That's huge. Passenger electric vehicle model availability. Australians now have access to 31 passenger electric vehicle models from 12 different car makers. We'll go through that later on, compared to 28 models in July 2020. So 3 more as of this year. Since last year, 6 more models under 65 grand have been launched, bringing the total to 14. Car makers continue to supply Australia with more plug-in hybrid electric vehicle models than battery electric vehicle models. Right, so this includes PHEV as well. The largest vehicle segment is the SUV, not surprisingly, which reflects internal combustion engine vehicle purchasing behavior in Australia. That's absolutely right, and I think the Model Y is going to absolutely kill it here in Australia. While the supply of new models to market has not shifted significantly in the last 12 months, car makers are now confirming the upcoming supply of new electric vehicle models into the Australian market. It is therefore expected that by the end of 2022, Australians will have access to 27 additional electric vehicle models, with a predicted 20 battery electric vehicles and 7 plug-in hybrid electric vehicles entering the market. Cool. This will see an expected total of 58 passenger electric vehicle models available in Australia. Awesome. So 58 as of 2022. Before we move on, let's have a look at some of the comments here. Here we go. Here we go. Paul Shuttleworth, let's read this one. It says, "Hi Tom, I just paid today for my Model 3 SR Plus. However, after checking out VIN number, I found it was built in April this year. I'm concerned that it's not the June updated model." Yeah, good question. I think the best person to ask there would be probably Vita Prime. So get in touch with Vita Paul and he'll help you out with that one. So, and Jeff Newport says, but model differences could be as little as battery sizes. I think that's the case. At least there's some choice there, right? Yep. And this question here: why is the share of EVs so low when we Australians are now one of the wealthiest countries in the world? Good question. Yeah, I think some of the issues will be addressed in this document here. I think it's to do with the policies from our federal government. Car companies don't feel comfortable coming here because there's no incentive at the moment federally, or a good hunting ground anyway for them to put their cars on our market. Yep. And here we go. All right, so that's good, guys. We've got 66 viewers at the moment, so that's really good to see, guys. Thanks for joining us. Of course, leave a comment below in live chat, and also if you're watching this on replay, make sure you leave a comment below as well. And if you just joined us, hello, and tell us where you are dialing in. I'm so old. Tell us where you are logging in from, and I'll give you a shout out. All right, so here we go. So here are the Australian electric vehicle models available currently. So we've got BMW with 5 models available now, and 3 available by the end of 2022, and BYD 8 models available by the end of 2022. So next year, hopefully, we'll have 8 BYD models. Mercedes-Benz has got 5. Hyundai's got 3 plus 1 next year. Tesla's got 3 at the moment, 1 next year. Ooh, is that the Model Y? Must be. You've got Porsche at 3, Volvo 2, 1. Mercedes-Benz is here twice. There's 3 for next year. Okay. Peugeot's got 3 coming next year. Cool. Kia's got 2 now. Mini's got 2 now. MG's got 2. Nissan's got 2. Lexus is 2 next year. Audi 1. Jaguar Land Rover 1. Ford, Genesis, Mazda, Polestar. Cool. Polestar's something I'm looking forward to. And VW is coming next year as well. That's awesome. Just a quick plug to my Phantom Lane 4 mates. Sally writes, sorry, some personal reasons we could not get together this week. That's correct. We will certainly hopefully be on next week, if not the week after. All right. Jeff says, I'm from the 2.5% kilometer state. Hello, Jeff from Victoria. We'll get to Victoria in 1 second. Okay. And Greg says, you can only buy 1 Tesla model now. S and X are available at the 22. That's true. That's very true, actually. Okay, however, even with this increase, model availability in Australia will remain significantly behind other comparable markets. Drivers in the UK, for example, already have access to over 130 models and from a much larger variety of vehicle segments. Australia's model availability continues to be restricted by an unsupportive policy environment. That's what I was saying before, as Australian offices of global car makers are struggling to secure supply of new models or volume of electric vehicle models in the local market. So that's kind of what I was saying before. It's not a very supportive environment at the moment for global car manufacturers to send their EVs our way. So that's part of the reason, I think. Just a quick note on electric motorcycles and scooters. The number of electric motorcycle and scooters is gradually increasing in Australia. There are now models available from Evoque, Fonzarelli, Harley, Davidson, Savic, and Super Soco. Commitments to the electrification of motorcycles was highlighted by the announcement that Harley Davidson would launch the Livewire as an all-electric brand, citing the desire to be the leader of the electric motorcycles. I did do a video recently with Mark, who I saw in the chat there, Mark from Newcastle, up in the Hunter region, sorry, and we had a look at his beautiful new Harley Davidson Livewire, so make sure you check that video out as well. I have looked at a couple of bikes from Fonzarelli, and they're pretty cool. Fonzarelli is a local Sydney brand, so check them out online. They make some pretty cool bikes. They go pretty quick as well. Electric buses. Electric bus model availability has increased over the last 12 months alongside supportive procurement commitments from state governments. There are now 6 electric buses on the market from BCI Buses, Bus Tech Group, Custom Denning, Nextport BYD Gemilang, Nextport BYD Volgren, and Yutong. Increased interest from state governments has had a particularly positive impact on the domestic electric bus industry, given that procurement processes tend to preference Australian-made and assembled vehicles. I think there was some talk about an Australian company startup making buses in Bowral, potentially, in New South Wales. I might have heard that earlier this year. But I'm still trying to, well, I can't now because we're in lockdown, but I was looking for the electric buses in Sydney. I believe there's some running around. So when I do get the chance, as we get out of lockdown, I'll go on those for you guys. All right, so got some more questions here. Yes, my free charging credit is expiring. Anyone have ever got an extension from Tesla? Not extension as such, but I think with each referral, you do get 6 months extra to your expiry date to an upper limit. So yeah, there we go. Keep that in mind. Another incentive to get referrals. All right, let's have a scroll through here. Ray Johnson says BYD has a new platform coming for coach buses using Marco Polo shell. Cool, they're very exciting. Very good to see. And Reventon says BYD will be the one to watch out for, especially when looking at sales increases in Chinese MGs. Yep, indeed. Phantom Lane 4. Sally says company in North St. Mary's is making electric buses. Excellent. Good to see. All right, let's get on with the document. All right, commercial electric vehicles. Increasing demand from the freight and logistics sector for light and heavy electric vehicle models over the last 12 months has highlighted the need for coordinated national policy to encourage trucks manufacturers to allocate volume to our market. There is still, however, a limited supply of light and heavy vehicles. Currently, Renault supplies the Kangoo, a light commercial van. There's a Kangoo in my local area. It services the library in my local council. That's pretty cool. While SEA Electric supplies a range of products, including a van and minibus, as well as specialized vehicles and multiple truck cab chassis. In the next 2 months, next 2 years, we'll expect to see models from Ace EV. And if I looked at the Ace EV in one of my videos, it's a South Australian company. Fuso electric trucks from Nextport, True Green Mobility, EV Automotive, Jack Motors, Janus Electric, SAIC Motor, and the Volvo Group. Mining. The mining sector continues to be supplied through vehicle conversions as the industry seeks to reduce emissions and costs associated with underground ventilation. Utility vehicles such as the Toyota Land Cruiser and Hilux models are being converted by several Australian companies, including GB Auto, Voltra, and Zero Automotive. Additionally, the Safescape is converting the Agrale Marua, oh gosh, I butchered that one, into the electric Bortana. Awesome. All right, here we go. Gaffer says Nextport is producing the buses in Mossville. Thanks, Gaffer. I knew there was something happening down in the Southern Highlands. And Damien says, how accurate are the quotes on the Tesla website for loan repayments? They seem very generous. I think they're pretty accurate. I didn't have a loan for my last Tesla, but anyone who's had a loan from Pepper Money or Macquarie from their Tesla website, please let me know or let us know in the comments. That'd be really good. Okay, let's move on. Public charging infrastructure. Public charging infrastructure is vital to supporting existing electric vehicles while encouraging future adoption. That is very true. There are now over 3,000 public chargers installed across Australia at over 1,650 locations. And by the way, there were 5, I think Jolt is going to install 5,000 new DC chargers across Australia too. So and there's more money heading into the companies like ChargeFox EV. So there's going to be plenty more coming in the next year or two. Of these chargers, 470 are DC fast chargers or ultra fast chargers, 50 kilowatt and above, which have been installed at almost 250 locations. That's very cool. So who's leading the pack here? So we've got ACT with 5 sites, 10 chargers. New South Wales, 78 sites with 181 DC fast chargers. NT's got 2 and 2. Queensland, 57 and 84 chargers. South Australia, 14 sites with 27 chargers. Tasmania, 16 with 18 chargers. Victoria, 46 sites, 115 chargers. WA, 26 sites, 33 chargers. Nationally, 244 sites, 470 chargers. So New South Wales, once again, is leading the pack in terms of how many chargers are available in our state, which is good. All right, so in the last 12 months, there has been a significant increase in the rollout of public chargers. The number of DC fast or ultra fast chargers installed has increased by 24%, while the number of public standard chargers has increased by 23%. Excellent. That's really good to see. And we can see that even though the majority of chargers continue to be AC chargers, when they say standard, I think they mean AC. Although you can get 25 kilowatt fast chargers as well. But the numbers are increasing year to year, which is good. With additional government and private investment in public charging already committed, it is expected that this growth will continue at least in the short term. Many state governments, as well as the federal government, have committed significant funds for co-investing with the private sector to build more fast chargers. That's kind of what I was hinting before. We're going to see a lot more with ARENA pouring money into the joint private-public sector to build chargers. That's good. All right, so there's a graph of what I was trying to hint at with the state of origin, and New South Wales is leading the pack there with more fast chargers in my home state than other states. All right, let's take a few comments now. So, so we've got Oliver saying there should be more ultra-fast chargers in Sydney, such as the eastern suburbs and in the city. I'm hoping with the ARENA funding round they will be coming up. So have a look at that document, which I'll probably leave in the video description afterward. Have a look at that document. You can see what's coming up in the future. Adrian says there are no chargers in towns like Leongatha or Wonthaggi or Corumburra South in Gippsland, Victoria. So yeah, hopefully there'll be more of those coming your way, Adrian. Hello to PS from Cairns. Hi, Phil from Cairns. Yep, just check the ChargeFox prices from Port Douglas to Brisbane yesterday, and the price is 20 cents per kilowatt for 50 kilowatt chargers. Yeah, that's kind of standard, I think, for ChargeFox. Yep. Okay, so any more comments? Here we go. Queensland is still lacking an incentive program. Yes, indeed, you guys are. So I'll get through to the different states a bit later on. And yep, all right, let's move on. The biggest barrier to sustained investment in public charging infrastructure is the low uptake of EVs in Australia. Without high utilization of public infrastructure, the business case for continuing investment in public charging infrastructure will diminish. Currently, across Australia, there are 7.21 electric vehicles for every installed public charger. While this national average does not illustrate utilization rates of public charging infrastructure, it does provide some insight into the commercial realities facing the public charging operators. Without significant electric vehicle sales growth, governments should be cognizant of these challenges when designing government policies and programs, in particular the way that additional impediments to charging business cases compounds existing challenges. In addition, given the expected and required growth of EVs in Australia over the next decade, significantly more investment in public charging infrastructure is needed. So this is difficult because I guess you don't want to pour too much money into chargers because there aren't enough EVs. It's kind of like chicken and the egg. Which one do you push more? Well, I guess, the smart thing to do would be to push both, because obviously people don't want to buy EVs because they have this impression there's not enough chargers around. Companies don't want to invest in chargers because there's not enough EVs around, and round we go. So it does require some leadership federally, I think. Policy action by governments is an important factor in providing confidence to investors, industry, and consumers to support the transition towards e-mobility. The primary policy drivers that accelerate uptake of EVs include financial incentives to reduce the price of purchasing an electric vehicle, regulatory changes, and investment in charging infrastructure. The resulting investment confidence ensures that Australian market is globally competitive in planning for deployment of charging infrastructure. electric vehicle model availability and associated products and services. So this is kind of what the government should be looking into. So financial incentives, like upfront incentives for rebates, price reductions, tax exemptions like stamp duty, registration, GST, fringe benefits tax, targeted incentives like fleet, bus, commercial vehicles, logistics, etc. Regulatory changes, fuel efficiency standards need to be administered, sales targets need to be made, procurement targets like government fleet purchasing needs to be set, charging infrastructure, government investment grants for charging infrastructure, deployment targets, and electricity grid upgrades. This last one I think is quite important at the moment. I'm not sure if our grid can sustain a certain threshold of EV uptake from what I hear. So I might look into that later on, possibly as a video, to see how we're at currently with our current grid. The delay of a national grid electric vehicle policy has caused investment and uptake in Australia to lag to comparable markets. In recent years, state governments have been stepping in to fill this policy vacuum. That's true, sometimes with mixed results. The global and domestic electric vehicle industry have been increasingly vocal in expressing their frustrations and the need for strong electric vehicle policy to drive investment. Yes, that is true. One second. All right, let's take some comments here. We've got ACT Nerd or ACT Nerd says, how will people in the inner city suburbs charge their EVs without a garage? Are fast chargers unsuitable for this problem? Well, I mean, the current thinking is that too much fast charging is not good for you. However, having said that, I have chatted with owners of chauffeur companies who use EVs, and I think Evoke in Sydney, there was a 250,000 kilometer Model S with very little battery degradation. So whether that's an urban myth, I don't know. But I think, as I said before, the ARENA funding was showing a lot more DC fast charging and AC charging in the inner city in our capital cities. So that should hopefully not be a problem in years to come if you don't have off-street parking. All right, we've got Sensei saying, to get more people to buy EVs in Australia, Tom has to start giving away a brand new Tesla EV or two and some Rolex wristwatches on his YouTube channel. Okay, well, I am not made of money, but I guess who knows with more subscribers and monetization. We'll see. All right, we've got some quotes here from this gentleman, Michael Butt, Managing Director of Volkswagen Group Australia. Says Australia has some of the most lax environmental standards in the world. We are a third world dumping ground in terms of automotive technology. Yeah, I mean, some people have compared us to Cuba, where we might become the dumping ground for some pretty poor cars. So hopefully that won't be the case if the government gets off their proverbial behind to get things happening. Scott Naga, whom I've met before, he's the Senior Manager of Future Mobility and Government Relations of Hyundai. Other manufacturers are just holding off because they don't know what the government is doing. It's impacting people's decision to bring vehicles here. Yep, that certainly is the case, Scott, that's for sure. Stephen Lester, who's the Managing Director of Nissan Australia, says clear and consistent direction from governments is a critical signal to car makers to prioritize the importation of the latest lower and zero emissions vehicles for Australian consumers. That's very true. All right, let's have a look at the scorecard here. So this is where they're explaining the scores they gave. The EV Council analyzes the electric vehicle policies developed by the federal and state and territory governments. Gradings are provided for each government based on each jurisdiction's holistic policy environment for electric vehicles and the development of policy actions over the last 12 months. Further weighting is provided based on the relative size and scale of actions to other Australian jurisdictions and confidence in the future efficacy of efforts. Okay. So we've gone through these in a brief before, with New South Wales leading the pack. Excuse me. And the ACT's next at 8 out of 10, but the federal government certainly is lagging behind there at 3 out of 10. It's not even a pass mark. All right, this is going to be fun reading about the federal government. The federal government has received the lowest score for the second year in a row. There remains a lack of leadership at a federal level, and the federal government has failed to deliver on its promise of a national electric vehicle strategy. The future fuel strategy discussion paper does not include sufficient action to accelerate uptake. The exception to this is the provision of co-investment for charging infrastructure, where the government has recently announced $24.55 million through the Future Fuels Fund, which I've alluded to before. This investment is in addition to $21 million previously funded through the federal government's Australian Renewable Energy Agency, that's ARENA. While these investments may have been enough to increase its score, it has been held back by the federal government's continued failure to deliver a national policy, address fuel efficiency standards, and the lack of confidence in future ambition. Harsh words, but unfortunately true. All right, let's take a comment here. Okay, so Timothy says, with the sales of EV in New South Wales, even if the sales are 400 a month in New South Wales, there's no need for a massive rush to get $3,000 rebate. Heaps of EVs are coming. Yep. I guess the first 25,000 cars in New South Wales, if this bill passes, will receive that $3,000 rebate. So yeah, go figure. How long would that last? Tell me what you think. Okay, so let's keep going. State and territory governments. The deficiency of national direction will continue to have a negative effect on the future uptake of EVs. However, many state and territory governments are working to fill the policy vacuum. There has been a policy shift in the last 12 months that has seen state governments demonstrate increasing support for electric vehicles. Some states have understood the need to financially incentivize uptake and the importance of regulatory commitments to signal confidence to the EV industry. Indeed. New South Wales has experienced the biggest change over the last 12 months, thanks to the introduction of its whole of government EV strategy backed by $500 million in funded actions, the removal of stamp duty and $3,000 rebates for EVs under the price cap, $171 million for co-funding infrastructure, and 100% bus and government fleet targets provide real, meaningful actions that give confidence to consumers and industry, spurring greater investment and outcome for the state. It's matched by commitment to delay road user charges until the market has matured, either by 2027 or until electric vehicles account for 30% of sales, ultimately replacing upfront stamp duty charges. As the first government to receive such a high rating, New South Wales policy provides a benchmark by which other states' actions are weighted. Well, and indeed other states have actually copied as well. We'll get through in a second. To maintain the score, New South Wales will need to monitor effectiveness of its policies in reaching its stated goals of 52% electric vehicle uptake by 2030-31, and continue to coordinate activities across the government as necessary. The greatest risk to New South Wales' score is its lack of mandated targets and regulations. However, this is counterbalanced by the state's significant whole-of-government approach to its EV strategy, which provides strong confidence in its willingness and ability to continue its strong performance in this space. Indeed, 9 out of 10 is a very good score. The ACT has traditionally been a national leader in progressive electric vehicle policy and has continued to complement these efforts over the last 12 months. Financial incentives through tax rebates have been complemented by 2 years free rego and a $15,000 interest-free loan. The ACT continues to work towards its government fleet procurement targets and has signaled it may revise its bus electrification targets, bringing them forward in line with New South Wales. While it similarly does not have a mandated target or fleet regulations, its continued efforts to improve transport electrification demonstrates a strong willingness and even enthusiasm to support and accelerate the shift to EVs. Tasmania's electric vehicle policy focus has primarily been on the provision of funding public charging infrastructure, leading to the rollout of public charging sites across the state. In recent months, the state has also recently announced an expanded policy approach to fund purchase incentives, including a 2-year stamp duty exemption for all EVs, as well as free registration for the next 2 years for car rental companies and coach operators. It has also committed to an additional $600,000 in funding for more public charging infrastructure and has set a 100% electric government fleet target by 2030. Tasmania is establishing a good foundation for greater electric vehicle adoption, but there remains scope to offer greater financial incentives to bring the state in line with New South Wales and ACT. New South Wales seems to be quoted as the gold standard at the moment. Victoria, all right, looking forward to this one. Victoria has announced several positive policies over the last 12 months, being the first to introduce a financial rebate for electric vehicle purchases of $3,000 to $4,000 for 4,000 vehicles, with a further rebate for 16,000 vehicles to be confirmed. Its zero emissions vehicle roadmap properly identifies many actions and is supported with $100 million in funding towards rebates, charging infrastructure, EV procurement, and an electric bus trial. So that's the good. These positive initiatives are counterbalanced by the state's introduction of a road user charge exclusively applying to electric vehicles beginning on July 1, 2021. This move has been criticized as premature and detrimental at this early stage of uptake by many stakeholders, including the EV Council. Victoria's charges are also, unlike in New South Wales, on top of existing charges such as stamp duty. Supporting Victoria's policy is the sales target of 50% electric vehicle sales by 2030. Victoria has established an external panel to advise it on the necessary steps to achieving this target. Its grade is hindered by a lack of confidence following a lack of engagement during the development of its road user charge. It has also been weighted down by its relative comparison to New South Wales. Just saying. Victoria is best placed to improve its grade by detailing actions to accelerate electric vehicle uptake in line with its 50% sales target. Alternatively, if these actions are not forthcoming, given the presence of its EV chargers, its score may also decrease. Wow, interesting. So the road user charge of 2.5 cents per kilometre has really lowered the score for Victoria, and rightly so. Queensland has leveraged its early leadership in electric vehicle infrastructure by continuing to expand its electric vehicle superhighway. The state is currently consulting to update its electric vehicle strategy, having been the first state in Australia to develop one in 2017. To increase its grade, Queensland should increase the scope of its EV strategy to include financial incentives for the purchase of EVs in line with other states. I think someone else said that as well, that Queensland does not currently have a significant policy, and that is being highlighted here. Okay, I've got a quote here from Oliver. A message from Oliver. My job as a luxury limousine driver, hire car, self-employed, having an electric is huge for me. I calculated, and I could save over $12,000 in service and fuel with my diesel-powered vehicle. That is amazing, and that's one of the reasons he's switching to EV. Well done, Oliver. That's really good to hear. Western Australia, WA released its electric vehicle strategy in 2020, announcing the development of a state charging network, consumer education programs, and a fleet procurement target. To increase its grade, the state should continue implementation of its recent strategy and increase its scope to include financial incentives for the purchase of electric vehicles in line with other states. Basically, no policy as yet. South Australia, also 6 out of 10, released its $18.3 million electric vehicle action plan with a focus on co-funding for charging infrastructure. The state has flagged its intention to introduce road user charges in 2020. However, this was delayed and is now being reconsidered by the government, which is good. South Australia has also announced a desire to see half of all new vehicle sales to be electric by 2030 and all new sales electric by 2035. However, it is not yet detailed plans to achieve these goals. To increase its grade, the state should increase the scope of its strategy to include financial incentives for the purchase of electric vehicles and delay the introduction of road user charges until the market for electric vehicles has matured. Absolutely right. And I think today they announced a $3,000 rebate for the first 4,000 cars or something like that. So they've basically copied what Victoria and New South Wales have been doing. Northern Territory. Excuse me. This year, the Northern Territory released its first electric vehicle strategy with a scope of measures to accelerate electric vehicle adoption. The inclusion of financial incentives, coupled with a commitment to charging infrastructure investment, has quickly brought the Northern Territory in line with other leading states. The grade for Northern Territory reflects the intention for action. To maintain its score, the Territory should implement the actions outlined in the paper and provide further detail on the funding commitments in its making to charging infrastructure, strengthen its government fleet target, and commitment to electric bus transition. Okay, so let's have a look at the financial incentives currently available for the different states. So, of all the states and territories in Australia, only, only 5 of them have some sort of financial incentives. So, we've got New South Wales and ACT here with a $3,000 rebate. In New South Wales, that's to the first 25,000 cars, whereas Victoria will be for the first 4,000 under 68,750 or 68,740 for Victoria. Stamp duty abolishment for EVs purchased under $78,000 in New South Wales, and Victoria doesn't have that. In fact, here we go. Incentive amount for additional 16,000 EVs still to be determined. Okay, that's interesting. So there might be more coming. In the ACT, free vehicle rego for 2 years, stamp duty exemption as well, and $15,000 interest-free loan. That's pretty generous. Tasmania has stamp duty exemptions for EVs for the next 2 years, free rego for car rental companies and coach operators for 2 years. That's actually pretty good. That's a fairly decent saving for car companies, rental companies that want to use EVs. And the NT has free registration for the first 5 years from 2022 and a $1,500 stamp duty reduction for 5 years from 2022. That's not too bad. Sales targets. So South Australia has publicly stated an aim for all passenger vehicle sales to be electric by 2035. Okay, I didn't know actually. I didn't know they had that. That's a pretty significant target. So we've got another 14 years to get there for South Australia. Victoria set that target for 2030 for zero emissions, 50% sales. ACT has announced 2030 for new zero-emission vehicle sales. That's good. So, in fact, that's an even earlier target than South Australia, so 2030. New South Wales has announced an electric vehicle strategy to increase electric vehicle sales by 53% to 2030 to 2031. That's probably more modest compared to the rest. And let's see how much money each government is spending for infrastructure. Who wins? It's New South Wales again, $176 million. And next is Victoria, 22, WA 20, Federal 37. Okay. All right, time to step up your game, guys, for the other states. All right, let's have a look at some more questions here and tweets and comments. Here we go. So Sid EV says, I believe New South Wales has just released new rules for electric mobility devices now legal, but with rules. Okay, cool. I assume that includes scooters. And Kwalin says, especially in Melbourne's CBD Victoria, new bike lanes are now in works to promote a scooter and electric bicycle. Fantastic. And we've got one here from Ray Johnson. He says they need a charger at Elliott Northern Territory right next to big solar and battery site. Yep, that would be very good to have. All right. Let's keep going. All right, so this is what I'm interested in, local government. There are many opportunities for local governments to lead on electric vehicle action, and they are an important stakeholder in promoting electric vehicle adoption. Local governments are often the level of government most accessible to Australian communities and can provide much needed education and accessibility to electric vehicles through existing sustainability programs and committees. Previously, many local governments choose to focus on one area of electrification, such as charging infrastructure, strategies, or fleet transition. However, local governments are increasingly approaching electric vehicles more holistically by providing a number of programs and policies across the electric vehicle system. And I think in my local government area, there are new chargers, and I think some of the fleet have been converted to electric as well, because I've seen, I think, Ionics around on the northern beaches. So that's good to see. So transition council vehicles to electric. Yep. Good start. Update fleet policy for EV priority. Yes. Charging networks. Provide charging infrastructure on public land. Provide lease land to charging operators. Support renters without off-street parking. Yep, absolutely. Certainly more and more apartments coming up in Sydney. Charging strategies. Provide regulatory framework for public street parking for charging infrastructure. Be good to see like lampposts and telegraph poles and those like electricity grid boxes that can charge cars. That'd be pretty cool. Streamline the application process to install charging infrastructure. Update development control plans for EV ready. Update parking requirements for parking in apartments. Assist residents with strata. That's a big one. Get that a lot with comments saying my apartment block is not very EV friendly. And community education. That'd be good. Hosting seminars or even webinars now with the lockdowns. Provide online resources and hold drive days. Yeah, I'd be up for that. Holding drive days once we can get out of our lockdown. Yeah, these are things that local governments can do. Very good diagram there. Okay, so we've got coming close to the end of the document now. We've got some appendices. So yeah, that's sort of in table form what they were showing before, with the numbers percentage of EV of light vehicle sales growing year to year, and already up to 2021, it's already 1.57%. In fact, I read somewhere today that I know Tesla doesn't release the number of cars they sell, but by deduction, I think Tesla was like the second highest number of sales in New South Wales or Australia. I think it's Australia, just by deduction. They were minusing the number of EVs sold listed in this document, the 8,000 figure, minus like the sales that Hyundai and Porsche and the rest of the other EV companies that make EVs. And by that, I think it was like 6,000 Teslas already sold in the first half of the year. And that's like almost as many as Camrys in Australia. So that's it's really good to see. Obviously, we can't verify that because Tesla doesn't release their sales numbers. All right, Appendix 2, global electrification commitments. So we sort of touched on this before. Like a lot of these car companies are putting targets on their production and they're funding it as well. Like most of them seem to be around 2020, late 2020s, early 2030s. We've got Honda here, 100% by 2040. So we're looking around 2025 to 2035 for the majority of these targets. So exciting times coming up in the next 10 or so years. And I think, eventually market forces will play out where a lot of these companies won't make ICE cars anymore, or certainly won't. A majority of the cars will be EVs. And so naturally, consumers will be looking to EVs just because there's no other choice eventually. But yeah, I mean, that's good. The legacy auto is at least sort of, putting some targets out there, which is good. Tesla, 100% electric. That's right. So we like Tesla. They're 100% electric, of course. Okay, here we go. Available passenger vehicle models in Australia currently. So let's take a little break. See if we've got any comments we can add to the broadcast. Okay. Yes, so here we go. Gaffer says, is Veda Prime here? He'll know the Tesla numbers. I'm sure he will. Our international man of mystery, Veda Prime. Why don't Tesla release cell numbers? Yeah, they never have. That's been their thing. They're very secretive about that. They really are. Okay, Gaffer said something. Here we go. Let's see what Gaffer said. That's what is needed. Government fleets going EV. That'll give significant second-hand market within 3 years that will allow more to get in EVs. That's absolutely true, Gaffer. I couldn't agree more with you. Because they do change cars quite frequently, whether that be government or just private enterprise. They do change their cars over quite a bit. Okay, thank you for those comments, guys. Keep them coming. Very good. All right, so let's look at the available passenger vehicle models at the moment in Australia. We've got Audi 4 models, so that's the e-tron Classic and the Sportback. BMW's got i3. Some of these are PHEVs. That's why it's sort of boosting them, bolstering the numbers here. X5 X-Drive, 330e, 530e, 745e in PHEV. The i3 is the only BMW that's fully BEV at the moment. Subcompact is right. It's pretty small, actually. Hyundai's got a few more BEV models in the Ioniq Electric Elite, Electric Premium, and the Kona Electric Elite and Highlander. I believe Kona's there's going to be a standard range Kona coming next year. It's got like a very, well, is it 30 or 40 kilowatt hours? So a smaller battery pack than the current one at 64. Jaguar Land Rover's got the I-Pace as the BEV, and then a couple of hybrid Range Rovers. Kia's got the Niro EV now, which I was supposed to test drive prior to lockdown. I think the day before I was supposed to pick it up. The lockdown was announced, so it's all right. I'm not upset by that. I'll get it next time. Mini's got the electric in battery and the Contraband hybrid in plug-in. Mercedes-Benz EQC 400. I think there's an EQS as well. I think. I have to double check that. And a few more plug-in versions. And MG, of course, is the ZSEV. I did a week worth of vlogging with that. That was pretty cool. So thank you to Deck PR for letting me the MG for that week, and of course the HS, which I got to drive as well. I don't know. I'm not. Obviously, the PHEV is a stepping stone to battery, but I don't know. It's just not satisfying. Like, there's no thrill, right? You gotta fully live electric. I think that's just my opinion. Yeah, Nissan's got the Leaf, of course. Porsche's got a few, in fact, quite a few PHEVs. It's got a few Taycan models there. BEVs. I just want to add this comment to the broadcast. Oliver says the Kia EV6 is being advertised heavily right now on TV. Yes, I saw a few of those ads watching the Olympics last few weeks. Absolutely. Here we go. Ray says we need ACT government to make electric mandate, so the federal government have to drive in one all the time when at the parliament. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, so they have to be chauffeured there. Good point, Ray. Back on this graph here, so Tesla, of course, are all BEVs. Admittedly, some of these, like the S's and the X currently, you can't actually buy them, or you can order them, but you can't actually have them delivered until next year. Only the Model 3s, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the Model Y very soon. And Volvo's got a few PHEVs out there, and hopefully they'll bring their Polestar out, Polestar and Polestar 2 out here to Australia. Having seen some of the reviews from the UK, that look pretty cool. All right. I'll just put this one on, Bryson. I forgot about this and missed 53 minutes. Don't worry, Bryson. This will be on like replay after this finishes. And I think if you wait 24 hours later, the live chat will come up as well. So don't worry, guys. Don't worry. If you're watching this on replay, you didn't miss out because it's on replay. Okay, and Sensei says, any update on when you will be able to test the new Mercedes-Benz full EV EQS and EQA in Sydney? You test drove the UKC only about a year ago. Yes, that's very true. In fact, I tried to get the EQS and EQA from some dealers in Sydney. They said the usual, no, we're not allowed to. And I've tried head office as well. So I will do that as well when lockdown finishes. I'll try and get hold of one of them. Got PS saying EV fleet cars will not only enable the second-hand market, but will also put plenty of bums on seats to expose government workers to joy of driving EVs. Yes, that's very true. Yes. Oh, did I ask a question? Got yes and no's here. Gosh, short-term memory. Yep. All right. Hopefully someone reminds me of my question. Yeah, passenger vehicles available in the future. All right, here we go. So here we go, late 2021, early 2022. So Audi is promising another e-tron. Cool. 374 range. I personally think like we need to have at least 400-kilometer range for EVs in this country. Okay, maybe 350. That's kind of the low end. Like anything less than that, I think people start to get some anxiety. So yeah, 350, 400. All right, BMW is promising, some more PHEVs. Oh, and the iX is coming. All right, so iX is coming next year. That's going to be good. So 400-kilometer range, 600-kilometer range. That's good. Good to see. What is going on? Why are people saying yes and no? Am I missing something here? Must be an internal thing happening with you guys. I'm sorry. All right, I'll keep going. BYD. Okay, this is exciting. So some more BYDs coming next year. Got the EA1, which is a hatchback, 500K, so that's good. The Han, BEV, and PHEVs. The Tang, the Song. These are very Chinese names, aren't they? Han, Tang, Song. 500-kilometer range. I wonder if they'll keep those names or westernize them to the Australian market. E2, 305K. The Qin at 450. So the range is pretty decent. So I'm looking forward to actually testing them as well and looking through and having a look at the quality, comparing it to the Tesla's quality. The Ford Escape PHEV, okay, I got a bit excited there. I thought they'll bring out a Ford Escape BEV. Greg Wilson says, why are you going to try and drive the Mazda MX-30 given it's such a poor value proposition? Actually, you know what? I was just thinking this the other day, like with the Model Y coming very soon, and it's possibly starting at what, let's say 65 to 70 grand for the standard range. It's really going to put a lot of these other cars in its place. Like you can't say a Kona worth 65 grand is going to be on the same ballpark as a Model Y. So I think the prices will drop with the Model Y, advent of Model Y coming. Fefe says Hyundai Ioniq 5 versus Kia EV6 versus Tesla Model 3. Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I think I'll certainly look into that and maybe even do a video. That's a fantastic question, that one. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. What else have we got? So Genesis BEV. All right, Genesis is coming next year. I think I might have heard about that. Hyundai, another Ioniq 5. Oh yeah, Ioniq 5. That looks pretty good actually. I wouldn't mind looking at that one too. The range is 386. Okay, I thought it was more than that. Lexus. Oh, a couple of Lexus BEVs coming. Cool. 400K range. Mazda. There we go. Mazda MX-30 electric. Is that the price? Oh yeah, the starting price 65,000. Oh my goodness. That's like Model Y territory. 224K is I'm sorry, that's a raspberry range. Can't have that in Australia. I know that's enough in the city, but I mean people are gonna want more than that if they want to go for a road trip. I think I know there's only one road trip a year, but people want the feeling that they can go on a road trip, right? I don't know. I think personally they need of 2.0 for that electric with better range. Mercedes EQA, sorry, yes, we talked about that. Oh, okay. EQB, EQS. Gosh. Yep. So all TBCs for now. Peugeot, a couple of Peugeots coming. Okay. BE 2008, 332 range. Yeah, that's okay. Borderline. Polestar 2, yeah, this one I'm looking forward to. Polestar 2, the Volvo sedan, 440K range. Looks good. Looks really good. Yeah, more Porsches coming next year. So we've got the Taycan Cross, Turbo. Why do they put turbo in there? I don't understand. Model Y, how exciting is that? Yep, 500k range. That's super exciting. And sorry about my voice, by the way. I really should get a co-host or something. Otherwise, I'm talking for like an hour. An hour of talking. Okay, and Volkswagen ID, yes, that's to be coming as well. 2022. Is that optimistic? Don't know. Here we go. So available electric scooters, motorcycles, Evoque, Fonzarelli, we talked about that. Harley Davidson Livewire, which I said before, that's one of the videos I did recently with Mark from Hunter Valley. Savic and Super Soco. Yeah, so there's some options there. Look, the Harley is expensive, 49,000, but it's pretty fun. From what Mark has told me, and I've seen him ride it, certainly given him a lot of joy. Electric bus availability, so there's some buses there at the moment, so hopefully more to come. I think buses is one place we could certainly electrify in our cities, whether when they're at the depot or even like put a charger at like major stops, right? Because sometimes they just sit there for like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes idling. If you can put a fast charger there, at least top up with like 50 odd kilometers or whatever, right? And they just go around again. So I think electric buses make a lot of sense. Okay, so Fei says the ranges of the motorcycles will give me anxiety. I will get one when more options become available. Yeah, that's true. I mean, speak to Mark about that if you get a chance. He's got some. Initially I think he had some issues with range, but I think he's used to it now. Yep. Jeff says Model Y to replace my CX-5. Cannot wait. Yeah, that's true. I think Model Y is about the same size as the CX-5, maybe even a little bit bigger, because our Model 3 is longer than the CX-5, believe it or not. All right, so we're coming up to the end of our of the document. I'll just quickly go through some more. So commercial available vehicles available currently. We've got Ace. I'm not sure if they've actually started producing these. I've only seen a couple of prototypes. Ace vans. Got the Ace Cargo Light, which is a van, and the Ute, which is a Ute. Fuso E-Canter, electric trucks, BYD T3, EV Automotive, GB Autos, Jack Motors, Janus Electric, Renault, Kangoo Max. That's a pretty cool van, actually. If I had a small business, I would probably get one of those. They're pretty cool. Sake Motor, haven't seen that yet. Safescape Bortana. I think someone was saying before, Ray was saying Chris Vanderstock reviewed one or knows about that. So yeah, might speak to Chris about that in Melbourne. Yep, C Electric. I think that's a local brand of Victoria. Yes, I've got a few models out there. Are they the guys that make garbage trucks? I think so. Yes, and George Pritchard says the Model Y is a taller Model 3. Yes, it sure is, and a little bit longer as well. And Ashley asks, did you see a new mobile app drop today? Yes, absolutely. I certainly was tweeting about it too. Yeah, some really cool features there and animations. So just have a look at my Twitter account. It has some pictures and videos there. Volvo trucks. Yeah, a couple of Volvo trucks. Zero Automotive. That's the mining one. It's a pretty beefy Hilux, I think. And I think that's basically it, guys. That is the Electric Vehicle Council document. Let me just scroll all the way to the front of the document. That way you can see what it looks like. There it is there. State of Electric Vehicles 2021. I'll leave a link to this PDF in the video description so you guys can check that out. It's a really good read. I know I've gone through it all today, but if you want to reference something, have a look at that document. It's a really thorough. Like I just love the detail in this document. And congratulations to Behar Jafari, who writes the forward to this document. Congratulations to him and his team. And it's a really good report card of where we're at currently in Australia with electric vehicles. So well done to Behar and his team. Let me just make myself bigger here. Here we go. You can see me. All right, guys. Well, I think we might call it quits there today. I think we've gone on long enough. Hope you guys enjoyed that video and this live stream. And thank you for everyone for joining us. Like at the end of the stream, after an hour, we've still got 70 people on. Like I am astounded. I am very humbled. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll have to look at the stats later on and see how many views we actually got and how many people stayed on. Like I'm humbled, like totally humbled. So I'll try and do more of these in the next few weeks, especially because we're in lockdown, can't go anywhere. Might as well do some live streams. And yeah, hopefully you join us again for if you've got any topics you want me to do. By the way, I'm very happy to look into them. I think this might be a good format where I just go through a document and you guys can chat and ask me questions and and put in some comments. And Sensei says too early to stop. It's only 10:03. It's almost my bedtime. It is after 10 o'clock though. If you want to see more live streaming, check out Phantom Lane 4 on Wednesdays. We'll got some interesting things happening after 10 o'clock. All right, guys. Well, that's it from me, and also leave a comment, maybe in the comment section, and maybe send me a tweet or a message. Just tell me when a good time is for you guys for me to do a live stream. When does it suit your schedule? What day of the week is good? How many times should I do it? Maybe twice, 3 times. I think twice is good for me personally. Too much, you might get sick of me. But anyway, hang on, no. I'll ask this one first. Will the Model Y ship with a factory tow bar? Ooh, good question. I think it was supposed to. It'd be nice because I've had to, what do you call it? Third party add a tow bar to my Model S. And Gaffer says the stream doesn't stop until the mic is dropped. Yeah, sorry. My mic dropping days are over. Someone said it's not good for mics, and it's true. It's true. Yeah, well, look, I might actually do just like Ask Me Anything video or live stream like later on next time. And we can just chat. That'd be good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already yet. And I'll tell you what, I will. Let me see if I can just put this video on so you guys can at least keep chatting for a little while. Oh, here we go. Got this. All right. Just putting an end roll here. There we go. All right. Roll. Oop. Volume up. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and I'll leave this on for a little while, and that way, only fans. That way, you guys can keep chatting for a little while longer. Otherwise, stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you at the next live stream. Take care, and as always, happy charging.